Tonight, outside the heart of British power, something deeper than policies breaking, not a pane of glass, but trust itself. The quiet pact between a leader and the people who believed in him is fracturing. And tonight, that fracture has a name: Keir Starmer. Across Downing Street, the crowds are not carrying torches of anger, but bills, energy bills, heating bills, proof of a nation pushed past its limits. From Parliament Square to Number 10, the streets are jammed. Police have sealed off 3 blocks. Placards are scribbled on the backs of final notices. This isn't chaos, it's organized desperation, the kind born from 2 years of unrelieved strain. Let's rewind. In 2024, Starmer promised stability after years of political turmoil. He vowed to restore trust, to defend working families, and to face the cost of living crisis with what he called courage and compassion. The optics were familiar: rolled-up sleeves, tea in village halls, earnest listening tour. The message was clear: he understands. But the record now tells another story. Energy costs have surged 54% in just 2 years. Over 2 million households have fallen into fuel poverty. And while families ration warmth, £30 billion in green subsidies have flowed offshore, far from the communities now sitting in the cold. Ministers preach sacrifice, while their expense accounts fund heated second homes and idling chauffeur cars outside Parliament. When challenged in the Commons, Starmer dismissed criticism as short-term thinking, insisting that net zero targets were non-negotiable. 2 millions. That phrase didn't sound bold. It sounded blind. The words of a man who's never had to choose between heating and eating. Look closer at the crowd tonight. These are not agitators. They're nurses in scrubs after 12-hour shifts, holding signs that read, "I save lives, but can't afford to heat my home." Teachers watching children arrive in coats because breakfast or warmth. One must be sacrificed. Pensioners choosing between medicine and heat. Small business owners, e-bakers, printers, pub landlords, closing doors as energy costs quadruple. They're not rejecting climate policy. They're asking a simple question: why are billions funding foreign wind farms while British families freeze indoors? The government's reply was swift and revealing. The Energy Secretary, Sarah Jones, called protesters useful idiots for fossil fuel interests. The Climate Minister, David Walsh, branded them scientifically illiterate. But on the ground, these aren't fools. They're people who feel abandoned. And tonight, they've decided to be heard. Here's the truth the Prime Minister refuses to face. You cannot save the planet by sacrificing the people who live on it. Net zero isn't the enemy, but a net zero policy that shields the wealthy while punishing the working class most certainly is. Green levies barely touch the rich. They crush those on fixed incomes. Carbon taxes don't cripple multinationals. They shutter local factories. The wealthy install subsidized solar panels. The poor sit in the dark. Energy giants declared $4.1 billion in profits last year. The so-called windfall tax clawed back only a fraction, riddled with loopholes. Shell pays an effective 19%, BP 22%. Meanwhile, a single mother in Birmingham paid 100% of her doubled energy bill. No deductions, no escape. That isn't leadership, it's performance. And for the first time in years, the audience has stopped applauding. The numbers are devastating. Fuel poverty has risen from 8% to 14% of British households. More than 4 million homes spending over a tenth of their income just to stay warm. Among pensioners, nearly 1 in 4 now rations heat. Hospital admissions from cold exposure up 31% in 2 years. Last winter alone, 3 elderly residents in South London died not from neglect, but from necessity. They simply couldn't afford warmth. Inside Number 10, advisors will tell Starmer this unrest will pass, that it's noise. But that noise is growing louder, because this isn't about politics anymore. It's about dignity, about survival. When citizens say, "I can't afford this," they're not making a political argument. They're stating a fact and reminding those in power that governance isn't a chessboard. It's life and death for millions. Starmer built his image on calm pragmatism, the lawyer of detail, the steady hand. But somewhere between opposition and office, those details stopped including ordinary people. His empathy turned to spreadsheets. His phrase "necessary sacrifice" became a shield for decisions that cut deepest among those with nothing left to give. It's easy to call hardship necessary when your own heating is taxpayer funded. Tonight's protest has no party banner, no union chants, no leader. It's spontaneous democracy, the sound of people who no longer need anyone to speak for them. When a full-time nurse can't heat her home, the system isn't strained, it's broken. When a veteran must choose between food and warmth, that's not economics, it's morality. And when the Prime Minister replies with jargon, targets, and press releases, that's not leadership, it's deflection. Even inside Labour, the cracks are showing. 3 backbench MPs today called for an emergency review of energy policy, a sign that unrest has reached Westminster itself. One Conservative MP, a long-time net zero supporter, put it bluntly, "We can't ask people to save the planet while we bankrupt them." That's not policy. That's cruelty disguised as principle. History is clear. When citizens fill the streets not with ideology, but with necessity, leaders have two options: listen and adapt, or fall. Starmer still has a choice, but time is running out, and the chants outside Downing Street are drowning out the council inside. Britain is famously patient. We queue, we apologise, we endure, but patience has limits, and tonight, that limit has been crossed. This is no longer about left or right, it's about above and below, those who decide, and those who must live with the consequences. The message from below is unmistakable. People are done being managed, patronised, and sacrificed for policies that demand everything from them and nothing from those in charge. If Keir Starmer truly believes he's on the right side of history, he should step outside. Not with a statement, but with open ears and an honest heart. Because history isn't written by those hiding behind press releases. It's written by people who finally speak when silence costs more than courage. And tonight, Britain has spoken. The question now isn't whether this movement will fade. It won't. Movements born of necessity don't disappear. They grow, they spread, they redefine what democracy will tolerate. The real question is whether Keir Starmer will listen before it's too late, before this stops being a political crisis and becomes something far deeper, a crisis of legitimacy. And as chants echo through Whitehall, Starmer must go. It no longer sounds like a protest, it sounds like a verdict, and the beginning of something Westminster can no longer afford to ignore.